The gearbox here on the cut bed calls for 2.4 liters, whatever that is. And I find that, you know, since gear oil is so thick, that while you're filling it, if you just stop every so often and spin the turtles, it'll help get that gear oil all over the gears. We're almost there. Oh, there we go. I think that's it. Now it says we need 400 milliliters, whatever that is, in the main gearbox. Looks like that's about 13 ounces. Pretty much. A few weeks ago, I started skipping one of the paddocks in my grazing rotation so that the grass would have a chance to pile up. And when this disc mower was ready to go, I could go out there and cut it and make some hay. And well, the grass is tall, the sun is shining. Seems like there's something you're supposed to do while the sun shines. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. I think the first challenge of the day is going to be driving through this gate without any calves getting out. This paddock that I'm going to cut today, I estimate to be around 2 acres, and I've been stocking it up for 3 weeks to a month, somewhere like that. So I don't know how much hay this is going to yield. If I could get 10 to 15 4-foot bales, I'd be pretty happy with that, but we'll never know until we do it. So yeah, this is my first time using the disc mower. I think I know what I'm doing. I guess we'll find out. Cut it pretty good, actually. After my first time using the disc mower, I gotta say, I'm a fan. You can pretty much go as fast as you want. Really, the only thing you're limited by is how rough the field is. And a problem that I did have in this paddock specifically, and I kind of knew that this was an issue, but I've got all these sinkholes out here that you really got to watch out for. You can see here where I skipped some grass, and that's because there are giant holes here, and I want to make sure that I don't find those with the rake or the baler. So when I come back to rake this in a couple of days, I'll just have to make a few extra passes probably to get the windrows to go around these holes, because if I stick a baler wheel in one of these holes, that's going to be trouble. And usually in a hayfield, you just hate to have skips like this, but this is also a pasture, so I'm not too worried about it, because whatever I miss with the mower, the cows are going to get on the next go around. Man, I'm just really happy with how this looks. There is some smut grass that will end up in these bales. I knew that going in. Smut grass isn't like toxic or bad for the cows, but it's just kind of doesn't really do anything good for them either. What I'm excited about though is this Dallas grass that's sort of in the mid stage, and then look at all the clover leaves in here as well. Then the other little issue I had is the levees that I've got out here for irrigation. Now usually when you set up a hayfield in this part of the world and you're going to flood irrigate with levees like this, you space them out at a certain distance so that when you're cutting, things work out perfect, right? If you were going to have checks and you wanted to make 4 passes, you would put them like 32 feet, well, you'd be smart to put them 30 feet apart to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. When Grandpa pulled these checks, who knows how long ago, I don't think the intention was ever to make hay, so we just kind of work with it. And I noticed that the drum mower had no problem going through grass that had already been cut. I was kind of wondering about that, if it would like ball up and kind of make a mess, but it really didn't. It just picked it up and spit it out the back just like it was cutting it. Well, see how everything looks. It's not clean anymore. Don't see any missing bolts, nothing's loose. I think all's well. Okay, next we got to pull this wire down so that the cows can graze this paddock right next to the one that I just cut. They've been respecting this wire all this time, so hopefully they continue to do so. I'd be pretty upset if I catch some cows out here in the fresh cut field in the next day or so. You see that? They like that cut grass. They're trying to reach under and get at it, but you know, there's not really anything I can do about it except what I've already done, and that is put the hot wire up. Oh, you even had to eat the grass off the top, huh? And Rivet has to challenge it to a fight. All right, let's get the tractor and mower moved out of here before somebody hurts themselves. Traffic jam. What are you cows doing? I've been hauling some more hay off camera. I got working on the big 6-foot bales, as you can see. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about how I stack the hay, because I've gotten a lot of questions over the years. Everyone thinks that I should stack it this way. As you can see, I did with some of it, but I still prefer to stack the 4-foot bales this way. And with having the 2 different ways of stacking right here in the barn, I think I can better explain why. And for the purposes of this discussion, when I talk about the bales being stacked like this, I'm going to say that they are stacked on their side. And when I'm talking about bales being stacked like this, I'm going to say they're stacked on end. The advantage to stacking bales on end is pretty obvious. You can see that we can take advantage of all this headspace up here in the barn. Over here where the bales are on their side, you can see there's a bunch of cubic feet up there that we're just not even using. The advantage to stacking the bales on their side is that it's a lot faster, because they go on the trailer on their side. So when you pick them up off the trailer, you just set them right down in the barn and you're done. If you're stacking bales on end, you got to take the time to flip them, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but you multiply that over how many hundreds of bales I'm bringing, and it starts to add up. And then the other thing is that when I stack on side, I can go 4 tiers high. When I stack on end, I can only go 3. And why is that, you may ask? Because when you're working with 4x4 bales, it shouldn't matter, right? 4 feet by 4 feet. But when you stack on their side, you notice each tier of bales sits down within the one below it. So like this second tier here is not sitting up on top of the bale below it, it's sitting down in it. So we gain, I don't know, 8-10 inches or so. You multiply that on each tier as you go up, and it adds up to enough space to just barely fit that 4th tier on the top. Now, if I was to stack the 4x4s on end, I could go 3 high, but I would gain another row on this tier, and I would gain 2 rows on the next tier. So a total of 3 extra rows of bales. Well, that's exactly what I give up by stacking on end, because I can't do that top tier, which is 3 rows. So for the 4x4 bales, it really doesn't make a difference. It's you're gonna fit the same tonnage in the same area, whether they're on their side or on end. This way is faster, and I think the stack is actually a little bit more stable when it's stacked this way, so that's why I do that with the 4-footers. So with all that being said, why are the 6-footers on their side? Or on end? Now I forget. So with all that being said, why did I put the 6-footers on end? Well, I actually didn't do this at first. I put them on their side at first, and what I realized is that I could get 4 on the bottom pretty easily. I could get 3 on top of them, but I didn't have enough headroom to get 2 on top of those 3. So I would only be able to get 7 bales per face. With the bales stacked on end, I now have 12 bales per face, but there's another trade-off here, and that is that since these are 6-footers, they stick out 2 feet further than they would be if they were on end. If you look at the span from post to post, that's kind of how I keep track of things. That's an 8-foot span, so it makes it nice. With the 4-foot bales, you know, you can get 2 faces in each span. So in 2 spans, 16 feet, you can get 4 faces with the bales stacked on their side. I hope this is all making sense. Even I'm getting confused as I'm filming this. So 2 spans with bales on their side, you get 4 faces. 2 spans with bales on end, with the 6-footers at least, we get 3 faces. Basically what it boils down to is if I were to stack the 6-footers on their side, I would only get 7 bales per face, and in 2 spans of the posts, that would be 28 bales. If within those same 2 spans, I put the bales on end, then I now have 36 bales. So because I can't get that 3rd level, that's what makes the difference, and it makes more sense to stack these this way. What are you doing up here, sir? Taking a nap? I didn't mean to bother you. I'm gonna get on this bale. Whew. Don't fall in there. What is the 3rd one up here too? I guess safe to say the cats are enjoying the new setup here. The reason that I climbed up here on top of the stack was just to show you that this barn is only like a foot too short. If it was about a foot taller, I could get a 4th tier up here, and then it would make more sense to stack everything on end. But because of the way things measure and work out, this is the best, I think. And you can see when they're on their side how close they are to the rafters here. It's a tight squeeze. And I guess the other thing to mention while I'm standing up here on top of these bales is that because the 6-foot bales have such a larger diameter, they're a lot more stable when they're stacked on end like this. Like when I stand up here, they don't feel like they're shaking or unstable in any way. I'm not worried about these falling down. The 4-footers, when you get them stacked up this high, they can get a little tippy. And I'll be the first to say that it is a shame that we lose so much space here in the upper part of the barn. I've thought of doing things like, you know, putting bracing on the walls so you could wedge another row of bales in there, but I don't know. I always kind of felt a little bit leery about doing that. I didn't know how stable that would be, or that if the barn itself could take the pressure. You know, this is an old barn. We don't want to be mean to her. And all this talk about stacking bales did get me thinking about how I'm stacking them in the wing here. You could see, again, there's a lot of headspace up here that's not being utilized. And I just wonder if I was to stack these on end, if I could get 3 on the bottom and then squeak a 3rd one over here somewhere, maybe. And as it happens, I've got this little stack of bales here that I've been bringing along with the big bales. My plan is to put these in the wing when I'm unloading with the LS. Obviously, I can't do that because it's too tall. But I've got enough there that I think we can fire up the 8N and try out this new idea and see if it's gonna work. It's in there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine, right? It can't really fall, and you know, once we get a bunch more bales in here, it definitely can't fall. I suspect there will be some times where this doesn't work, you know, like if one of the poles happens to be in the way or whatever, but you know, if we can do some of them that way, that's some of them. Thinking on these next two here, if I put the one in the corner first and then stick the one in the middle, it'll kind of just squeeze itself in there, and that should work better. But yeah, this I think is going to work. If I can get an extra bale in each one of these, I can get like 10 or 12 more bales in the barn, which I mean, I guess is not a ton, but it's something. I just said it's not a ton. Actually, technically it's 2.5 tons. Well, it's a couple hours later now, and thankfully nobody is in the fresh cut hay field. I guess the novelty of it has worn off because nobody's even trying. Now, I don't know how easy it's going to be for you guys to see, but man, that mower did an awesome job. I feel like once I get this baled up, it's going to look like a golf course out here. Well, I guess now I just need to figure out which paddock am I going to cut next. I'd like to do one a month if that's possible. If I can work it out with the cattle and their grazing needs, it would be nice not only to get the little bit of extra hay supply, but I'm also hopeful that taking a hay crop off of these pastures is gonna kind of help with the weeds as well. Well, I expect that I will rake that tomorrow afternoon or possibly the day after. We'll just kind of have to see what it does, but hopefully be baling it by the end of the week. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.